So Viserys Targaryen absolutely played favourites. He was well-intentioned, but he did choose Rhaenyra over his other children, not just in naming her to the Iron Throne as his successor and never once switching it to any of his sons, but just his general treatment of his children. We have reports that Viserys was a very loving and attentive father to Rhaenyra, and he carried that on with Rhaenyra's own children. There's this story of him bouncing Jace on his knee on the Iron Throne saying, "One day this will all be yours, kid." But there's not a whole lot of evidence to suggest that Viserys was very present in the lives of his other children, Aegon, Helaena, Aemond and Daeron. If he was a present and active father, well, they haven't made much note of that. It seems like, in Viserys' mind, those other kids were an afterthought. They were spares, a contingency in case his golden child didn't work out. And I think one aspect of what is going on during the Dance of the Dragons is this need to prove Viserys either right or wrong. In the case of Rhaenyra, she wants to prove that her father was right to choose her, especially if he did share with her, as we saw on the show, this secret about the long night, the Song of Ice and Fire, a burden that would weigh very heavy on Rhaenyra. She believes that the Iron Throne is hers by right and because of the oaths that were sworn, but she also wants to prove that her father was right to choose her and to stick with her. In face of a lot of pressure, she wants to step up and make her father proud. She doesn't want to think that her father got it wrong when he backed her. In the case of Aegon, and also I would say Aemond, less so Helaena and Daeron, it feels like there is this desire to prove that Viserys got it wrong, that he was wrong for not switching the succession to Aegon, or even Aemond. They want to prove themselves worthy and that their dad was mistaken. It's kind of an unspoken undercurrent to the Dance of the Dragons. Everyone is wanting to prove themselves, and I think it has its roots in Viserys having favourites. One kid wants to prove that he was right to back her, and the other one wants to prove him wrong for not backing him. Viserys never contemplated what would happen after his death. He never thought in a million years that his family would actually be torn apart and go to war with each other. But without maybe meaning to, inadvertently, Viserys started to sow the seeds for war. I think he was well-intentioned. I don't think he was malicious, but I do think him playing favourites, it had an impact. Now, Viserys did try and bring these two sides of the family together. It just never really worked. Now, Rhaenyra is chewing herself to bits, wondering, can I live up to my father's expectations? And Aegon, he's just as frazzled, constantly wondering, why not me? Why didn't he pick me? What's wrong with me? Am I not good enough? He seems a sad soul because of it. It's ironic that both of these siblings have the same kind of problem. It's just two sides of the same coin. These daddy issues. Plus, it's all tangled up in grief. They've just lost a parent, somebody that's been there every single day of their lives. Now he's gone, and they can't ask him any questions. They can't get clarification. Now, I don't see Viserys Targaryen I being this awful person. I just think he was well-intentioned but a misguided fool. He made a bit of a hash of things, and without meaning to, he causes a situation where his children are then trying to prove themselves to him, especially when the war gets bad, like when people start getting hurt, when people start dying. It can't all be for nothing, so the stakes get raised, and it's even more important to Rhaenyra to prove that her father was right and for Aegon to prove that he was wrong. Had Viserys not played favourites quite so blatantly, maybe things could have been different. Had he handled all of his children differently in a way that they were actually closer as siblings, again, things could have been very different. And maybe this might be the one big what if. What if he had spoken with Aegon and shared his reasons for picking Rhaenyra? Maybe if he'd been a more present father with all of his children and explained his reasons for doing what he's doing, that could have stopped a lot of the bad things from happening.